guys, welcome back to my new YouTube video. Thank you guys so much for clicking into this video. For today's video, it's gonna be a little bit different and it's kind of more of like a chit chat, sit down talk, but I thought it would be a good idea to kind of get to know each other a little bit more and kind of give more of an insight to things that I've learned when I first moved out. So I jotted down a few points that I wanted to kind of talk about, and I wanted to kind of keep it short and sweet. So yeah, let's get into the video. I just want to give you guys kind of like a background story of when I moved out. I moved out when I was 19 years old and I was about to turn 20. So it was definitely very young looking back now. Not that very old, like, you know, I'm still 21, but like looking back I was like, wow, I actually did that. Graduated college in 2020, so I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go start new life, independent. And my family's always been really great to me. Like, they've always supported me in so many ways, and I'm really glad that they did support me throughout me moving out and kind of discovering myself and being more out there and being more independent. So first thing that I learned moving out and living on my own was that, number one, it will get lonely. I cannot express this enough. It will definitely get lonely, especially if you're by yourself, right? Like, you come home, do your thing from work, yada yada, and then you come home and it's just you. You're on your own. Like, as like ironic that sounds, you're on your own, because like no one's gonna be there for you to cook you food, no one's gonna be there to greet you, and yada yada. So there are days that I definitely felt lonely, especially in the beginning. The first 6 months were definitely hard, but in that sense, I learned that when you spend alone time, you will actually get to know yourself more. There are days where you feel lonely, but some days you just really have to feel it. That's the thing I learned. But oh, I'm lonely, but I know it's coming somewhere within me. So what do I need? You know what I mean? Like, what can I do for me? That's when, you know, after 6 months of being in that loop of like loneliness and constant feeling of sadness, I was like, okay, I have to do something for me. And I will talk more about that and kind of how I got out of that loop and kind of started doing things for me. So that is the number one lesson that I learned when I first moved out. The second lesson that I learned when I first moved out, living on my own, is that invest in yourself. So whether this is physically, mentally, emotionally, or anything, invest in yourself. Invest in yourself, whether if it's gym. For me, the biggest investment that I did was going through therapy. So thank God for insurance, because I know therapy is not something that everyone can just go through, because it is quite on the pricey end. It's very pricey, especially for one session. You know, if you can get insurance, I definitely suggest it. Definitely invest in yourself in therapy. It definitely gives you a better perspective in life and different kind of outlook with things. So that's definitely something that, you know, you guys should invest on, because it's definitely worth it. With food, invest in your food and what you eat, your diet, everything. Do things for you. If you like dressing up, if you like looking good, do that. Like, no one's stopping you, especially when you live on your own. One thing I learned too, so that's where also discipline comes in, you know. But it's also like, you know, it's you versus you. You might as well look good, you might as well eat good, you might as well take care of yourself. Because coming to my next point, the third point that I want to share with you guys is choose your hard. Living on my own is not easy. It is very hard. So one thing that I want our generation, especially my generation, to kind of realize is that everything in life is hard. You just gotta choose your hard. So I know some days it's so hard to go home, and then, you still have to do all those things on top of that. Like, go home. If you're going to school while living on your own, you still have to, go to school, then go to work. That is hard, and you have to applaud yourself for that. You have to choose what is for you. You have to go for it. You have to, cheer yourself on. You do what you want, but know that there's going to be hardness with it, but there's also growth that comes with it. Living on my own, I found that as simple as cooking for myself after 8-hour shift was really hard. But then I had to realize that, what, it's me who's gonna eat at the end of the day. I have to take care of myself. I have to be there for myself. I have to show up for myself either way. So you have to choose what you want and go for it. So the fourth point that I want to share with you guys is that you win some, you lose some. That is one of the lessons that I've learned living on my own. And this includes like family, friends, job, anything. You win some, you lose some. Like, because when you grow, you outgrow people around you too, right? So for instance, like, if you lose some friends, I know for me, I definitely lost some friends, some of my bestest friends, and it was definitely hard for me. And at first it took me a bunch of therapy sessions to have that full like forgiveness, and to have that full realization that it's okay to have those people in your life at a certain chapter. But some days you just sometimes you have to close the chapter. And yeah, like for me, like I know I fell off with some of my friends, but honestly I definitely wish them the most like success, love, everything in life. Like I definitely do. No grudges, no nothing, because that's part of life. That's part of living on your own. You realize that, hey, there are some certain people I don't want to spend my time with, even with family. You have to set your boundaries in that sense, because as I said, it's you at the end of the day. You have to know the right people, and this comes to my first point. It will get lonely. You will lose some friends. It will get lonely. I'd rather choose loneliness for growth rather than being around people who is not feeding into me anymore, who's not giving me anything anymore. So there's that. I had to switch jobs because I was at that point where going there every day is something I do not want to go through. It was a very toxic environment. It was definitely hard because I built relationships there. But in all ends of every chapter, there's also a new beginning. So you win some, you lose some. You lose some, you win some. So there's that. And with family members too, this is one of the biggest things I learned. No matter how close you guys are with your family, at the end of the day, it's just you when you're living on your own. Like, at the end of the day, it's just you in that bed laying, about to sleep. It's just you in the dining table, about to eat. But it doesn't mean that they're not there for you. That's one thing that I learned too in going to therapy, is that, some days, like, you will realize that people have their own lives. And people do their own lives. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, people have their own lives, so you have to do your own too. You know what I mean? No matter if that's your mom, if that's your dad, you have to do what's best for you. You have to do you. Push yourself first, because you can't pour into others if you don't have your cup filled. Period. Like, simple as that. So the fifth and the last lesson that I learned living on my own is that you are human. Be a human. Be vulnerable. That is the hardest thing for me to learn for some reasons. First of all, growing up, it was so hard for me to be vulnerable. It's so hard for me to show emotions. And it's so hard for me to realize that I made mistakes, to swallow my pride, my ego, everything. So you have to realize that you're human. If you were, like, for instance, you're having such a great day, everything is good, you know, the vibes are immaculate, everything is good, and then the next day you just want to lay in bed and stay there for the rest of the day. That is fine. The most productive thing you can do for today is just get up and do your bed. That's fine. You know, that doesn't make you lazy. It doesn't make you any less than other people. You are human. Make mistakes. Be vulnerable. Show your emotions. And one thing too that I had to learn living on my own is that you have to feel your emotions, you know? Because when you accept your emotions and when you realize that you're going through it, you will stop rejecting, you will stop blaming others, you will stop ruining other people's day just because you're having a bad day. You know, that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, because moving out, I didn't realize how much I projected. You know, that comes with childhood traumas that were unhealed. You have to know what you're going through. You have to be intact with your emotions, what you're dealing with, and realize that it's not certainly their fault. You know, being independent is good, but you have to realize that you're also human. You make mistakes. You need other people. We need other people to survive. So that's one thing I had to learn, because for me, my coping mechanism was when something goes wrong, I isolate myself. You know, I had to learn how to feel that, hey, I'm going through it. I'm gonna let it through, feel it through, realize it, allow myself to be human for a bit, and then ask for help. Because if you don't, you're just gonna blow up, add on, then it will just damage in the long run. You know, there were some days where I definitely did project, and especially with my relationship, with my family, my friends, you know, and yeah, it takes a lot to swallow your pride and be human and be vulnerable. So if you're doing that, good for you. Applaud yourself. Good job. You're learning, you're growing. That's good. And if it's something that's uncomfortable for you, to show emotions, to show love, to show affection, to grow, that's a challenge, and you have to go through that to grow. So there's that. For me too, that ties in with asking for professional help. Yeah, that's when you have to realize that that's your higher self-love, because you're forgiving yourself, you're allowing yourself to be in that situation, to be vulnerable, to be human, to ask for help. And yeah, you have to be proud of that. You have to, you know, allow yourself to go through it. It's hard, but you will get through it with all that help. So that was one thing I definitely learned. Asking for professional help was an easy thing to swallow for me, because I also work in the mental health department. So I was like, how can therapists be needing a therapist? So yeah, I had to cut that off, swallow my pride, and get help. Well, allow yourself to learn, allow yourself to fall, allow yourself to go pick yourself back up. Like, allow yourself to feel those emotions. You're human. Be vulnerable. Be able to, you know, accept your loss, because you know you're just gonna win the next time, and you pick yourself up and be better again. So but that is pretty much it for today's video. Yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you made it through the whole thing, thank you guys so much. I will be writing down everything, the key points that I said throughout this video at the bottom, the link video. I appreciate the love and support so much, and yeah, I hope you guys the best. I hope you have a good day. I hope you find yourself, you grow, and do what's best for you. So that's my takeaway from this. And yeah, with all the key points that I mentioned for today's video, I will be putting them down below so you guys can skim through it, or you know, look through and maybe learn something, and maybe it will be helpful for you or for someone you know. So but thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will be uploading on my Instagram every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so tune in for that. I will be posting on my new YouTube videos every Saturday and maybe Sunday. Some days I go through technical difficulties and life happens, so Saturday or maybe Sunday. But yeah, thank you guys so much for the love and support. I really, really, really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. don't hesitate to give me suggestions, DM me on the Instagram, everything, if you want to collab or do, you know, everything. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. So much love, and yeah, hope you have a great day, and we'll see you guys next Saturday.